Welcome back to the deep dive. We have finally arrived at the last stop on our Big Four tour.
It's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
It really has. I mean, we've dissected the hiring secrets of Deloitte, we've broken down PwC, and we've analyzed EY.
Right.
But today, today we are walking into the lobby of KPMG to close out this series. And I have to say, looking at the research stack we have for this one, KPMG just feels, well, it feels different.
It is different. And honestly, that is the biggest trap you can fall into as a candidate.
Thinking they're all the same.
Exactly. People think, oh, it's just another accounting firm. I'll just copy-paste my Deloitte answer.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you do that at KPMG, you will fail. They have a very distinct culture. It's, a bit more personal, a bit more grounded.
Grounded is a really good word for it. So here is the plan for today's mission. We are going to do exactly what we did for the other firms. I'm going to step into the role of the candidate. So recent grad, good grades, slightly nervous, but ready to work.
And I'm going to be the senior manager sitting across the table.
The dreaded interviewer.
Right. And I want to be clear about my mindset going into this. I am tired. I have clients calling me. I have deadlines breathing down my neck. And I am looking for someone who can make my life easier, not harder.
You're looking for that KPMG fit.
Exactly. The KPMG fit.
Which means we really need to talk about their specific values right off the bat.
Yeah, you can't fake this part. KPMG lives by 4 pillars: integrity, excellence, courage, and together.
Integrity, excellence, courage, together.
Got it. If your answers don't map to those 4 words in some way, you aren't getting the job.
Okay, well, no pressure.
Right.
Let's simulate the room. I'm walking in, I sit down, I have my resume in front of me.
Right. I've glanced at your CV. I see the GPA, I see the internship, but I want to know who's actually sitting in front of me. So let's start simple. Tell me about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm currently a final year business administration student. Throughout university, I've really focused on balancing high academic standards with real-world application, maintaining a 3.8 GPA while working part-time. Last summer, I interned at a mid-sized consulting firm where I was responsible for data analysis on some pretty time-sensitive supply chain projects. And that experience was actually a turning point for me. It shifted my interest from just, general business to specifically solving complex client problems under pressure.
Right.
Looking forward, I'm really eager to bring that drive to a global stage like KPMG. If I had to describe the personal brand I'd bring to your team in 3 words, they would be communicative, helpful, and enthusiastic.
Okay, let's pause the simulation right there.
How was the delivery? I tried to keep it pretty tight.
The structure was solid. You did the past, present, future thing perfectly. But I really want to zero in on those last 3 words you used.
The communicative, helpful, enthusiastic part.
Yes.
Was it too cheesy?
Not at all. Actually, it's strategically brilliant for a firm like KPMG.
Oh, really?
Think about what most candidates say in that moment. They say, I'm hardworking, I'm smart, I'm a perfectionist.
Which sounds good on paper, right?
It sounds arrogant. And frankly, it's the bare minimum. If you're sitting in a Big Four interview, I already assume you're smart and hardworking. You don't get extra points for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But helpful, enthusiastic.
Helpful feels like a very low ego word to use in an interview.
That is exactly why it works. KPMG has a culture that really prides itself on being a bit less cutthroat than some of its competitors. By saying you are helpful, you are telling me, the tired senior manager, that you are going to support the team.
I'm not just here to step on people to get to the top.
Exactly. You aren't just here to be the star. You're here to get the job done.
So I'm signaling that I'm a team player without actually using the total cliche of saying team player.
Precisely. And communicative is crucial because in consulting, silence is death.
Wow, silence is death.
It is. If you are stuck on a spreadsheet for 10 hours and you don't tell me, we blow the client's budget. So that specific trio of words tells me you are low risk and high reward.
Okay, so the intro landed. Now, we move to the differentiator. This is usually where you ask, well, why us?
Right. And this is where 90% of candidates completely faceplant because they give a generic answer. So, back in character.
Ready?
I know you're applying to the other 3 firms. Why do you specifically want to start your career at KPMG?
It really comes down to how KPMG invests in its people and its future. I've done my research, and I'm genuinely excited about the lake house in Orlando.
Oh, you know about the lake house.
I do. The fact that the firm built a massive, dedicated learning and innovation center specifically for employee development tells me that continuous learning isn't just a buzzword here. It's a physical commitment. I want to be in an environment where I can go to a place like that to upskill. Beyond that, I'm drawn to the firm's focus on innovation through the ignition centers. I don't want to just do traditional auditing or consulting. I want to see how we can use technology to prototype solutions for clients.
Okay.
And finally, on a values level, courage really resonates with me.
Why courage specifically?
Because as a junior consultant, I think it's easy to just keep your head down. But KPMG explicitly values the courage to think and act boldly. I want to work somewhere that encourages me to speak up if I see a better way to do things, rather than just blindly following the status quo.
Okay, break. That was very strong.
Yeah. I leaned pretty heavily on the specific facilities there, the lake house and the ignition centers.
And that is what I like to call the secret handshake.
What do you mean by that?
The lake house is KPMG's pride and joy. It's an 800,000 square foot facility. It's got classrooms, gyms, social spaces. It's designed from the ground up to create a unified culture.
So it's a big deal.
A huge deal. When you mention it, you are proving to me that you understand their specific strategy for retention and culture building.
It shows I'm buying into the lifestyle, not just reading the job description.
Exactly. And the ignition centers. That shows you understand their business model is changing.
Right. They aren't just doing tax returns anymore.
Exactly. They're doing digital transformation. By dropping that name, you just told me I am ready for the future of KPMG.
What about the courage point?
Yeah.
I felt a little bit risky saying I want to speak up as a brand new newbie.
It is risky, but it's calculated. Courage is one of their 4 pillars, but you have to be careful with it.
Yeah.
You defined it correctly, though. Thinking and acting boldly.
Right.
You didn't say, I'm going to argue with the partners. You said, I want to improve things.
Nuance is everything in these interviews.
It really is. If you just said integrity, well, everyone says integrity. Courage is the differentiator. It shows you have a backbone.
Okay, so I've passed the vibe check. Now we get into the behavioral questions. The classic STAR method. Situation, task, action, result.
This is the meat of the interview, and I'm going to test your ethics first. Because if you can't be trusted, honestly, nothing else matters. So let's go back in the room.
I'm ready.
We operate in a highly regulated industry. Integrity is non-negotiable here. Tell me about a time you were pressured to compromise your values or standards and how you handled it.
Okay. In my final year capstone project, we were working with a real-world data set provided by a local nonprofit. The data was incredibly messy and incomplete.
Typical.
Yeah. 2 days before the deadline, my team realized we couldn't actually prove our core hypothesis with the data we had. One teammate suggested we just smooth out the outliers. Essentially delete the data points that didn't fit so we could submit a clean report and get a good grade.
That's a very common temptation. What did you do?
Well, my task was to ensure we delivered a high-quality report, but also one that was honest. So I took action. I stopped the group and explained that falsifying the analysis would not only be academic dishonesty, but it would actually hurt the nonprofit if they made real-world decisions based on bad data. I proposed an alternative. I said we would keep the outliers, but write a specific section in the report explaining exactly why the data was inconsistent and what that revealed about the nonprofit's data collection process itself.
And what was the result?
The team agreed. We submitted the honest report. The professor actually gave us an A-, specifically citing that our analysis of the data gaps was more valuable to the client than the hypothesis itself. So we kept our integrity and actually provided more value.
Stop right there. That is a textbook integrity answer.
I was a little worried it was too academic,
Yeah.
being a university project.
No, the context doesn't matter nearly as much as the logic. Here is why that answer wins. You didn't just be a moral crusader.
Right, I didn't just lecture them.
Exactly. You didn't just say, no, that's bad, let's fail. You found a business solution.
The pivot to analyzing the gaps instead.
Yes. In the real world, clients have bad data all the time. If you just say, I can't do this, you're useless to me. If you lie and smooth the data, you're dangerous.
Right.
You found the third path, transparency as a value add.
That connects back to the excellence pillar, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You turned a problem into an insight. That is literally what consultants get paid for. And notice you had a clear result at the end.
A-.
Right. If you had ended the story at, I told them not to do it, I would have mentally marked you down. I need to know the outcome.
Okay, let's try one more behavioral question. Maybe something about people.
Definitely. Consulting is a team sport. I need to know how you handle dead weight. So tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult team member.
During my internship, I was on a project team of 4. We had a strict deadline for a market research deck. One team member was consistently missing internal deadlines, which was putting the rest of us behind schedule. The atmosphere was getting pretty tense.
How did you handle it?
I knew that just reporting him to the manager wouldn't actually solve the immediate bottleneck. So I asked him to grab coffee with me. I really wanted to lean into the together aspect of teamwork. It turned out he wasn't lazy at all. He was struggling with the specific software we were using and was just too embarrassed to ask for help.
So what was the action you took?
We redistributed the work. I took over the heavy software formatting because that's my strength, and he took over the qualitative research and interviews, which he was excellent at. I also spent an hour showing him some software shortcuts for next time.
And the result?
We hit the deadline. But more importantly, his confidence came back, and the section he wrote ended up being the highlight of the presentation. The partner even complimented the depth of his research.
Rake. That is a perfect application of the together value.
I tried to avoid the whole tattletale trap there.
That is the biggest red flag for me as an interviewer. If a candidate says, "Oh, I told the professor and we kicked him off the team," I will not hire them.
Really? Even if the person was genuinely being lazy?
Because at KPMG, we don't fire clients and we don't abandon teammates in the middle of a project. We coach them.
Ah, I see.
You showed empathy. You bought him coffee, which is a small detail, but it shows real emotional intelligence. And then you played to his strengths.
It's about being a force multiplier, not a subtractor.
Exactly. You fixed the immediate problem and you preserved the relationship. That is senior level thinking from a junior candidate.
Okay, moving on. We've covered soft skills. Now I'm expecting something a bit harder. The competency or case-light questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to know how your brain works when you don't have a script prepared, and I need to test your commercial awareness. So, back to the interview.
Let's do it.
Imagine you are on a client site. You are a junior consultant. The client CFO turns to you and asks a highly specific question about a new tax regulation that you have absolutely never heard of. What do you do?
My goal is to be a trusted advisor, even as a junior. So, step one, I do not guess. Guessing is a liability.
Okay.
I would look the client in the eye and say, that is a critical question, and I want to ensure I give you the 100% accurate answer on that regulation. Let me consult with our subject matter experts on the tax team, and I will get a detailed memo back to you by close of business today. Then I hustle. I check our internal knowledge base first. If that's not clear, I find the senior manager or the tax specialist within KPMG. I get the answer, I verify it, and I send that follow-up email exactly when I said I would.
Stop. You nailed the trusted advisor framework.
It feels so uncomfortable to say I don't know in an interview, though.
It should feel uncomfortable. But the alternative is catastrophic. If you guess and you are wrong, you could cost the client millions in fines. You could literally get the firm sued.
So saying I don't know is actually the brave answer.
I don't know, but I will find out is the brave answer. It shows you respect the complexity of the work. And you mentioned the internal knowledge base. That shows, we have massive internal resources. You aren't alone out there.
Okay, one last competency question then.
Let's talk about the market. How do you stay current? What specific trends are you watching right now that impact KPMG?
I follow the standard financial news, of course, but specifically for KPMG, I'm closely watching the intersection of ESG and digital transformation.
Unpack that for me.
Well, ESG, environmental, social, and governance, is shifting from just a nice-to-have PR thing to a strict regulatory requirement. I'm really interested in how KPMG helps clients measure that risk.
Right.
And I'm also looking at how we use technology to automate the green tasks, the repetitive compliance work, so that consultants can focus on the blue tasks, which are the strategic thinking and problem solving.
Pause right there. That blue versus green reference, where did you get that?
Deep in the research, it's a concept some firms use to talk about automation.
It's brilliant. You are speaking the exact language of the partners.
Can you explain the blue versus green thing a bit more for the listeners, just in case they want to use it?
Sure. In the Big Four, we are completely obsessed with efficiency. Green tasks are things like data entry, checking boxes, basic auditing.
The grunt work.
Exactly. We want robots and AI to do that work. Blue tasks are strategy, relationship building, complex judgment calls. We want humans to do that.
So by mentioning that, I'm showing that I understand my job isn't just to crunch numbers forever, but to eventually move into that strategic blue space.
Exactly. And mentioning ESG shows you understand where the actual money is coming from right now. It's a huge growth area for the firm. You aren't just looking for a job, you're looking at the market.
Okay, we're in the home stretch now. The interview is wrapping up. You look at me and ask, do you have any questions for me?
The reverse interview. This is your last chance to impress me. Don't ask about salary. Don't ask about what time people take lunch.
Right. I need to ask about the future of the firm. So here's my first question. I've read a lot about KPMG's Accelerate 2025 strategy and the commitment to diversity. I'd love to know how a junior consultant can actively contribute to that. Are there business resource groups I can join immediately to support those goals?
That is a fantastic question.
And my follow-up would be, I'm interested in the long-term path between being generalist versus a specialist. In your experience, does the firm prefer new consultants to rotate through different industries early on, or should I focus on one sector, like tech or healthcare, right away?
And scene.
How did those two land?
The first question about Accelerate 2025 is an absolute power move.
Why? Just because I dropped the name of the strategy.
Because Accelerate 2025 is a massive, highly visible strategic initiative for KPMG regarding diversity and inclusion. By naming it, you prove you've read their strategic reports, not just the career page.
Right, it shows deeper research.
And asking to join a business resource group like the Pride Network or the African Ancestry Network shows you actually want to be part of the community. You are offering to contribute to the culture, not just consume it.
And the second question, the generalist versus specialist one.
That one is great because it asks for advice. It allows the interviewer to talk about themselves and their own specific career path.
And people love talking about themselves.
Always. Plus, it shows you are thinking about your career 5 years from now, not just 5 months from now.
It implies I'm planning to stick around.
Retention is a huge, expensive issue for us. If you sound like you are planning a long-term career and not just looking for a gap year resume builder, you go straight to the top of the pile.
So, we've cracked the code.
Yeah.
We survived the KPMG interview.
You did way more than survive. You thrived.
Let's boil all of this down for everyone listening. We've covered a ton of ground today. What are the absolute top takeaways for nailing this interview? I'll start with the candidate's perspective.
Go for it.
Takeaway number 1, the 3-word strategy. Don't just use generic adjectives like smart or hardworking. Prepare 3 words that describe how you work with others. Helpful, enthusiastic, communicative. It frames the entire interview around your personality fit.
Strong agree on that one.
Takeaway number 2, specifics are your best weapon. Don't just say training, say the lake house. Don't just say innovation, say ignition centers. It proves you did the actual work. And takeaway number 3, values must be verbs. When you talk about courage or integrity, tell a story where you did something. Don't just define the word, demonstrate the action.
Perfect. Now, from the interviewer's side, here is what I need you to remember. First, the STAR method absolutely needs a result.
Close the loop.
Right. I see so many bright candidates tell a great story and then just trail off. You have to tell me the outcome. Did you get an A? Did the client sign the deal? Give me the ending.
Makes sense.
Second, embrace the trusted advisor mindset. It is completely okay to not know everything. It is not okay to guess. Show me you are resourceful enough to find the answer without putting the firm at risk.
I don't know, but I will find out.
Exactly. And third, cultural fit is all about together. KPMG prides itself on being the human Big Four firm. Show empathy. Talk about coaching your teammates. Show me you are someone I would genuinely want to sit next to at an airport for 4 hours during a flight delay.
Ah, the airport test. That is the ultimate test, isn't it?
It really is the deciding factor for so many candidates.
Well, there you have it. That is the end of our Big Four interview series. We've given you the playbooks for Deloitte, PwC, EY, and now KPMG.
If you are deep in the interview process right now and you're prepping for the big day, I highly recommend going back and listening to all 4 of these deep dives.
Yeah, spotting those little differences like how KPMG loves courage, while Deloitte might focus more on market leadership that could be the exact edge you need to stand out.
You have the script now. You understand the psychology. Now you just have to go in there and be the solution they are looking for.
And I'll leave you with this final thought. Courage isn't just a pillar listed on their website. It's what you actually bring to the table. What if the real test isn't just reciting the right answers, but whether you actually believe them enough to act on them?
That's the real challenge.
Good luck out there. Go get that offer. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.